Every can of Coca-Cola seems cheap until we realize someone pays the price. Greetings everyone, we are Group 21. I am Chi.
I'm Wei Hao.
I'm Li Jing. I'm Really.
I'm Senzo. And today, we will be presenting about obesity in Malaysia, an economic analysis of spillover costs and policy responses.
This is not merely a medical problem, it reflects a negative consumption externality, where private food choice lead to public cost.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll begin with our core context, economic analysis, policy evaluation, and finally our concluding reflections. Obesity in Malaysia is a growing healthcare and economic issue which is linked to higher healthcare spending, productivity loss, and GDP impact. Malaysia now has one of the highest obesity rates across the entire Southeast Asia, and it is estimated that tens of billions of ringgit are spent annually on obesity-related diseases. If we take a look at this trend graph, it shows that overweight and obesity among adults has risen steadily from 2011 to 2023, signaling that the problem is still existing and worsening. Hence, how do Malaysian choices lead to market failure? This slide summarizes the causal chain. Overconsumption of sugar-sweetening beverages drives poor dietary habits, which increases obesity and other non-communicable diseases. This health issue, in turn, raises government healthcare spending, reduces labour productivity, and ultimately lead to GDP losses as well as inefficient resource allocation, illustrating a clear case of market failure and negative externality.
Using economic theory, obesity from excessive SSB intake is a negative consumption externality model. In the unregulated market, consumers decide how much to drink where their MPP curve intersects the MPC curve, giving equilibrium quantity QM and price PM. The supply curve is given by S equals to MPC equals to MSC, reflecting that producers do not generate additional external costs. However, this ignores the marginal external costs of obesity, such as long-term medical treatment and productivity loss that fall on families, employers, and the government. When these spillover costs are considered, the marginal social benefit curve lies below the marginal private benefit curve, meaning the socially efficient outcome occurs at a lower quantity Q and higher price P than the private market equilibrium. The gap between QM and Q represent overconsumption of sugar drinks related to the social optimum. The triangle between the marginal private benefit and marginal social benefit curves over the range is the dead weight loss, capturing the welfare loss that society experiences, because the marginal external cost is ignored and not internalized into the price. Healthcare funds and labour time are diverted to preventable obesity-related illness, showing that obesity in Malaysia functions beyond an individual issues. You may ask me, who creates and who bears the externality? Consumers who overconsume SSB are the primary creators of this externality, but they do not bear all the consequences. Families often face higher household medical bills, emotional stress, and reduced quality of life when caring for obese family members. Employers absorb losses from diminished productivity and rising absenteeism within the workforce. Shockingly, the Malaysian government carries the largest burden. In short, the public healthcare system is heavily subsidized, placing significant pressure on already limited resources.
Moving on to the policy discussion and literature integration. If individual choices created the problem, can the national policy rewrite those choices? Based on Malaysian Ministry of Health Food Policy report, cheap sugary drinks and aggressive marketing drive excessive consumption. In response, the MOH now focuses on hard interventions, including excise taxes on high sugar beverages. Likewise, Malaysian 2019 SSB tax is a prominent policy designed to address growing obesity and diabetes concern. It discourages excessive sugary drinks consumption and funds public health initiatives.
Globally, policymakers are taking decisive actions to reshape sugary drink consumption patterns. First, statutory advertising restrictions. Countries like the UK and Sweden ban unhealthy food ads targeting children, and this reduces their long-term sugar preferences. Evidence show that even though companies voluntarily pledge that they will stop, this often fails, and only strict and enforceable legislation meaningfully curb this unhealthy food marketing. Likewise, school-based interventions, and this creates a domino effect through compulsory nutrition education, physical activities, and healthier canteens. This improves their BMI and ultimately it instills healthier habits in their early life.
Malaysia's most prominent fiscal intervention, the SSB, Fiscal Instrument or Excise Tax, introduced in 2019 and later increases in 2025. It lowered SSB consumption by 9.25%, slightly internalizing the MEC. However, challenges remain. The flat rate design is regressive. Informal vendors are hard to reach, and substitution to untextured drinks might occur. Still, revenue support healthy food subsidies and public health programs, making it somewhat effective. Next, statutory advertising and front-of-pack nutrition labeling are regulatory and information instruments that tackle sugar consumption from multiple angles. Bans reduce children exposure to unhealthy food marketing, while labels guide consumer towards healthier choice.
Now let's recall the evidence from the UK and Sweden. It shows that market exposure drops by up to 37% and labels lower energy, fat, sodium and trans fat intake. And these policies are very and highly feasible, they're enforceable and equitable, but it requires strong legislation and enforcement for successful implementation. Ladies and gentlemen, please recall the domino effect that I once mentioned earlier. School-based nutritional and physical activity programs are regulatory and educational instruments that foster healthier habits, lowering future obesity-related MEC. Studies have shown measurable improvement in students' BMI, fitness and nutrition, and they might be guaranteed a better future. Yet in Malaysia, many challenges arise: costly healthier foods, inadequate facilities, and reluctant vendors, and stigma can limit effectiveness without proper support and handling.
For our recommendation, we propose a draw price strategy. To begin with, Malaysian current sugar sweetened beverage tax should be strengthened by adopting with higher or tiered rate, so that drinks with high sugar content face higher tax. As a result, this would send a clearer price signal to consumer, helping internalize a greater share of the external healthcare and productivity costs. Along with, a portion of tax revenue should be allocated to subsidize healthier beverage, such as water and low-sugar drinks, ensuring they are more attractive and affordable. Hence, this approach aims to shift consumption away from sugary drinks towards healthier beverage, reducing economic loss while maintaining fiscal and social stability. All in all, obesity in Malaysia constitutes a negative consumption externality, leading to high costs for family, workplace, and the public sector. A balanced combination of corrective taxation, information policy, and school-based program supported by subsidy for healthy alternative offer a practical pathway to internalize the marginal external costs and improve resources allocation.
Ms. Mayang, Ms. Manjit, please remember our recommendation. So remember to tax wisely, subsidize sustainability. Thank you.
Semangat